So guys, the Vidoc is out, and with it, a ton of information that I wanted us to take time today to break down, including some of the early Lightfall gameplay that was revealed to us. This is going to be a long, girthy video, so feel free to reference the timestamps down below, guys, if you're looking to just jump around and see what we covered. Starting though, at 0 seconds, we see the Traveler still hanging over the Earth, and also we see a massive pyramid fleet. And a quote, "The stakes are higher than they've ever been." Now at 12 seconds, we see the Witness walking through the garden like the leaves and branches we've seen before in several other trailers. Now at 20 seconds, we see Osiris wielding the Strand dice like those he used to navigate the Infinite Forest in Curse of Osiris. There was also a quote here, "How would we react if we were facing extinction?" Meaning Strand is going to have to be a necessity rather than just a choice. And it's so interesting that Osiris is probably going to be who shows us Strand or helps us to obtain it in some way, considering he doesn't have the light anymore. At 23 seconds, we see Callus emerge. And no lie, guys, Callus is looking decked out. My man is ready for battle. And at 38 seconds, we get the quote, "What happens when evil finally arrives and confronts the Traveler?" Now, this essentially concludes our intro section. Now to our end begins. At 52 seconds, we actually get a look at the Witness's pyramid ship. Dude, I'm not gonna lie, guys. The more I see of the Witness, the more I kind of like him, right? And at 59 seconds, we actually see the Witness looking down at Callus, who is in pre-disciple transformation. At 1:03, we literally get the quote, "Big shit is going down." Sounds like an understatement. At 1:06, we actually get to see dense fights on Neomua, and these are very dense. Bungie even comments that they want us to feel like we're going into an active war when coming into Neomua. We see Vex though, Shadow Legion Cabal, Strand Guardians. At 1:19, we see a Titan slide shotgunning with one of our new Neomua shotguns. We also get to see the third-person melee ability in action. Now, in 1:24, we see a tank from the Vanguard approaching a barrier on the back streets of Neomua, followed up by a cut to a Warlock grappling to a platform and performing a Strand finisher. Now, in 1:34, there's a quote here, "This tone surfaces the friendship, the camaraderie, and the connections that we have to each other." And this was actually shown alongside Kaido rallying her troops. Now, in 1:42, we see Zavala, Osiris, the Exo Stranger, Marsav, and Ikora in a group. They're actually looking out of the helm, and you can see the reflection of Earth and the Traveler is visible. Now, the helm actually goes dark, following a wave of darkness from the pyramid ships. And again, it was mentioned later in this that there's going to be two fronts to this war, the Neomua front, and then the fight happening back at home. Now, at 2 minutes and 19 seconds, we see the Witness in hyperspace doing his warp speed thing. He's actually floating among debris over Earth, and it was mentioned that in Lightfall, the Witness does find the Traveler. And it was also talked about how the Witness is just so reserved. It's all about control, and I'm actually curious, are we going to get to that moment where the Witness loses composure? And is that a good thing or a bad thing? Now, at 2 minutes and 35 seconds, we see the Witness floating above Earth, almost like he's actually walking through space. You see the debris around him. Then at 2 minutes and 43 seconds, we see Callus's bath box with the Tormentors on either side. And this looks to be inside of some pyramid structure, likely the Typhon Imperator, which is Callus's ship. And the quote was actually said here that Callus is power hungry, in it for himself. He's now one of the Witness's disciples. Now, Callus will go through this transformation and emerge as something new. And his right foot is actually dipped in gold. And I love how he says here, "My semblance matches my inner beauty." Law? At 3 minutes and 2 seconds, we see footage of sparrows riding through the rubble along a path, most likely a transitory section of Neomua, to get from one area to another. At 3 minutes and 5 seconds, we see Callus and the Witness essentially doing their version of FaceTime through a pane of broken glass, while Callus is holding his iconic chalice. Now, this brings us to the next section of the Vidoc, weaving the threads, which actually brings us to 3 minutes and 11 seconds. We see a close-up of a Strand beacon. We've actually seen it before in this Strand trailer. Now, at 3 minutes and 14 seconds, Joe Blackburn comments on the origin of Strand as a darkness power. And we get shots of Osiris seemingly teaching a Warlock, the Guardian, how to use Strand. And quotes, "Are we going to do what everyone thinks we're going to do? Like poison? No. Strand is the web of life. Strand doesn't have a real-world analog like fire or ice." Now, 4 minutes and 17 seconds, we see recaps of all 3 Strand subclasses and their details. And this is actually new footage of all classes in action, guys. So you've got the Hunter Threadrunner with its Silk Strike Super, which is a roaming super and has a distant third-person camera here, and has an extremely wide AoE heavy attack. The cast animation is also a backflip. Look, I'm not a Hunter main, but this is quite hot. Can almost turn me. 4 minutes and 39 seconds, we see the Titan Berserker, which is a Blade Fury Super. Now, normal Titan stuff, a lot of shake and motion here. Movement is actually similar to what we've seen from other Titan Supers, but the lunge range is what's so incredible here. And then on top of that, the heavy attack suspends enemies and has so much reach. I do want to mention that in the Vidoc, they actually said that the Fury Blades can combo indefinitely, meaning it doesn't consume your super energy. Now, 4 minutes and 58 seconds, we have the Warlock Broodweaver, the master of minions, Needle Storm. They create 3 sources of power that shatter into needle-like seeking projectiles. Ones that hit will disintegrate targets. Ones that miss actually charge up and become threadlings. Literally a win-win, and again, it ties into your subclass as you can just repurchase those threadlings. Now, at 5 minutes and 27 seconds, we see a grapple onto a Cabal Thresher, swinging through the city. Now, this seems nuts considering how much freedom we have on what we can grapple to. This is a long, continuous grapple that doesn't close in or break off. Question is how long can the grapple last? At 5 minutes and 41 seconds, we actually see us grapple onto a Sparrow. Similar behavior with that same long-lasting grapple. Now, the Titan point of view with work in progress icons, note the generic super icon. And grenade icon replaces the melee icon when you are grappled onto something. Strand will also allow us to have multiple melee charges. Now, 5 minutes and 43 seconds, we see the grapple melee description. Quote, incredibly powerful. Now, the grapple melee is intended to make grappling feel as valuable as a grenade. You can melee during or at the end of a grapple. Grapples also stun enemies, and those grappled melees explodes and severs. Lots of juicy stuff here, guys. Let's continue on to the next section. Welcome to Neomua. At 6 minutes and 9 seconds, we see a shot of a Shadow Legion being confronted by a Cloud Strider. Very cinematic here, guys. And there's also a quote, Neomua has existed for hundreds of years. Now, split off from the last city during the collapse, we speculated that an Nexus ship was what brought the people to Neomua, escaping the original collapse. Now, at 6 minutes and 30 seconds, we see projections that are almost spectral in nature, like electric ghosts. Now, the blue kind, not the light-giving kind. Now, at 6 minutes and 40 seconds, we see lots of new environmental shots, as well as concept arts showing off lots of neon, obviously considering this is literally called Neomua. At 6 minutes and 50 seconds, we see architecture inspired by boats, and it's windy and watery, quote, aerodynamic. At 7 minutes, we see high winds and strong pressure, as well as diamond beaches. Really interesting how weather is going to feel. Again, way back when Europa came about, Bungie talked about the dynamic weather system. Are we going to get like crazy weathered environments in Neomua? Now, at 7 minutes and 30 seconds, we see a spectrum of environments. We actually see a Thrillodrome, which is an arcade lost sector, and it was described as sticky. Also gives us a look at the heavy stasis waveframe grenade launcher here. At 7 minutes and 48 seconds, we see a puka pond with floating puka fish, like the one Elsie Bray has. And it's actually very similar to like a koi pond with the flowers and the water fixtures. It's just, you know, fish are floating here. At 8 minutes, we see an overarching shot of the Typhon Emperor. It actually lands in a park. Everything here, by the way, is in shambles. Now, 8 minutes and 28 seconds, we see new footage of a Guardian grappling onto a thrown tangle and rides it into a group of enemies while holding and throwing its own tangle. We did a strand breakdown a couple weeks ago. The gameplay loop here is extremely fluid. At 8:41, we see the other part of the Cloud Strider cutscene. That was at 6 minutes and 9 seconds, fighting the Shadow Legion with their hoverboard. Makes me wonder what else you can do. Now, the Cloud Striders are really cool. And at 8:51 seconds, we see the Cloud Strider mural. Remember, guys, Cloud Striders only live for about 10 years after becoming one. And this is where it actually shows the 2 Cloud Striders present in Neomua currently. One being Rohan, who's the grizzled old veteran. And you can tell that there's like a master and apprentice role here. And I can't help but think of like the Sith, right? The power of 2. And it was quoted here that Rohan is too old for this shit. It's funny because it actually has a conversation with Osiris saying, I understand what's at stake, Lightbearer, far better than you. Could be referring to a lot of different things. Maybe he's talking about the Veil. Who knows? Now, Nimbus is the young and brash apprentice. I love this character. They just seem like they're having the best time ever. Who smiles as much going into battle, right? Like, despite there being an invasion of your home, Nimbus looks like they're just having the best time of their life. Now, there was actually a quote here. Cloud Striders are fucking cool. So far, they look very cool. Now, 9 minutes and 37 seconds. Tormentors are brought up and quotes, the most scary unit you have ever fought. Also quotes, very powerful and incredibly intimidating, just the way I like it. Now, 9:45, we actually see Tormentors glow gold like it's charging up. This is actually extremely similar to like Roll, where you actually have to shoot the crit zones. And I imagine this will be our way of countering Tormentors when they're charging us down. And they look to be like literally the size of a brick, but they move much faster and they have a massive scythe. They also have something called Dark Harvest, which are these attacks which sucks the Guardian in, and the sound and everything becomes very dampened. And during this process, they're literally utilizing Void to, I guess, suck the light out of us. My question is like, how many of these Tormentors can we run into at once? Like, can you imagine a room full of these guys? Sounds insane. Now, moving on to the next section, the War at Home. That's right. Lightfall and Defiance are actually going to be 2 sides of the Destiny coin. Lightfall, which has these crazy neon cities with this bombastic action fantasy, but then Season Defiance is actually about the ground war on Earth, which is much closer to home. This expansion plus the season is a tale of 2 cities, both under siege by our enemies. Now, 10 minutes and 50 seconds, we actually see Crow and Amanda Holiday appear to be in some sort of Cabal ship. We know that this expansion is somehow going to tie into Mars Sov and probably Crow's relationship. At 10 minutes and 57 seconds, we get our first look at what appears to be some sort of darkness city on Earth. Now, our best comparison here would be like the birthplace of Vile that was in the throne world. And at 11 minutes and 2 seconds, we were told that we'll be freeing prisoners. So in this invasion of the last city, we may actually have some of our friends get captured by Cabal soldiers. Now, featured characters here actually has a wide range. You got Mithrax, you got Crow, you got Devram, Mara, Holiday. That's right, Devram, guys. I just said it. My man has finally left his post. Now, there's lots of city NPCs shown off. I imagine we'll be saving a lot of civilians here, probably giving us a closer connection to the people of the last city. Granted, that's great and all. I'm just wondering how the hell this ziggurat got on Earth. Now, moving into our next section, defying our end. At 11 minutes and 29 seconds, there appears to be some sort of vendor location for Osiris, which looks like it's going to be on Neomua. Now, we also know that at some point, Nimbus will be a vendor for us as well. At 11 minutes and 32 seconds, we see a close look at the Lightfall armor and ornaments, as well as our weapons. The Titan helmet has Clovis Braid markings, which is definitely exotic. We also see a stasis bow, which we actually got a confirmation that it's called Verglass. I hope I'm saying that right. At 11 and 40 seconds, we see an exotic recap here, which describes the gear from the weapons trailer. The Swarmers, which are the Warlock boots, create threadlings from tangles, either thrown or destroyed. The Sarachnes Facade Hunter helmet grants woven mail after grappling. We actually see the Hunter shoot a neon weapon SMG, and it's most definitely Strand here. We also got to see the Ambient Leap Titan boots, it unleashing the 3 lashes from the barricade when paired with the aspect. And again, these lashes suspend enemies. Also suspending grants woven mail, which is that damage resist. Now, 12 minutes and 30 seconds, we see deterministic chaos is shown off again, which again weakens every 4 shots and then volatile every 16 shot. Now, 12 minutes and 50 seconds, we see the final warning Strand exotic sidearm. We did a short on this, guys, but essentially when Bungie spoke about how they conceived this weapon, they talked about it being the combination of Devil's Ruin and Tiku's divination. It's designed to be less about killing and more about surviving while the tracking shot charges up. You can actually see the reticle and UI of the red diamonds over the enemies, same as Tiku's divination, but multiple at once. Again, very similar to the function to that of Titanfall's 2 smart pistol. It also fires up to 10 shots in a charge burst. Now let's talk about breaking down barriers. This is the final section here, guys, but at 13 minutes and 39 seconds, we see some juicy stuff in regards to new armor, new mod icons, and 3 new seasonal weapons. We see a sword with incandescent, a grenade launcher with volt shot. We also see an auto, which has a new Strand perk that we don't really know anything about. At 13 minutes and 41 seconds though, we see a new rapid fire shotgun with 2 new perks equipped, a new adaptive frame LMG called Circular Logic with a new perk called Hatchling. You can actually see the name being shown at 13 minutes and 48 seconds. At 13:42, we see the loadout preview window. At 13:46, we see new armor mod names. Helmets, which has kinetic targeting, special ammo scouts, boots with void weapon surge, arms with font of vigor, class with proximity ward, and chest with unflinching kinetic aim. You see the consolidation here with some of these perks. Now, 14 minutes and 7 seconds, we see the build management screen, which actually brings us to the new armor mod Font of Agility. This costs 3 energy, and you actually gain a bonus to mobility while you have any armor charge. And again, your armor charge now decays over time. Fellas, we did an entire breakdown video of that article way back when, talking about the changes with Charge of Light, armor charge, Warmind cells being deprecated, all those things, if you want to check those out. And again, as we get closer to Lightfall, I'll probably do like a consolidation video of all the big changes with a simplified overview of these things. Now, at 14 minutes and 12 seconds, we see the Better Already mod. We also see the Void Weapon Surge, which is a leg mod which costs 3, where your void weapons gain a small bonus to damage while you have any armor charge. Now, at 14 minutes and 22 seconds, we see Guardian ranks. Now, there's going to be 11 total ranks, and we see things like titles, commendations, triumphs, seasonal challenges, tracked objectives are all present here, with a new journey tab where this is all shown. Now, 14 minutes and 24 seconds, we see the rank 7 elite being shown. Now, this is described as an advanced rank, which shows the mastery of new mechanics and challenges and are refreshed every season. Now, 1426, Joe actually describes Guardian ranks as what should I be doing in Destiny if I want to get better. So think of it as like a guide or a checklist to progressing through Destiny. Now, the Guardian ranks progression page at 1431 for Lightfall is simple. Just complete the Lightfall campaign, increase vendor rep with Nimbus. This, of course, giving inclusion that Nimbus will be a vendor of some sort. Also, weekly Lightfall missions. And then we have Season Defiance, where you gain reputation with the war table. And this is also where we got to see the exotic bow and its name, Verglass Curve, which is probably going to be that stasis bow. And then we have other categories like Seasonal Artifact, Nightfall's Champions, Commendations, Lost Sectors, and Power. Now, 1442 through 1450, we see the commendation screen at the end of a run of Vowed Disciple. A lot of different things here. First up, you see all the new armor looking sexy. You also see the Selfless Commendation as an award. And again, these are commendations you're going to give to people that you play with, depending on your experience with them. This one being selfless commendation, you putting the needs of others above self and left no one behind. Now, 15 minutes and 2 seconds, Bungie actually brings up the 10-year plan for Destiny. And if you remember way back when, like Bungie, when they introduced Destiny, they said it was going to be a 10-year game, and we were like, dude, no way. And here we are. But quote, we've been building toward the witness antagonist for this long, and in Lightfall, we get to actually interact with the witness in a way that we haven't yet. Now, in 15 minutes and 18 seconds, we see Callus kneeling before the witness. Dude, straight simping, man. And from 1529 to 1544, quote, finale with the final shape we've been building towards, closing down the Light and Darkness saga, but Destiny is far from over. Now, this actually makes us wonder what the hell else is there. Some of you in the comments were like, Cross, Siva. Guys, I think Siva's kind of played out, right? It's filler content. Let's be real. Now, 1545, another quote was dropped on us. This universe is about more than the conflict between the Traveler and the Pyramids. And Bungie mentions they want to show us new ways to explore, new things to discover in the universe. Destiny has a lot more to offer. Lightfall is a catalyst for all of it. Again, I think they're going to perfectly set this up, guys, for whatever animated series or show Bungie finally makes with Sony. Now, in 1555, we see our Guardian hitching a ride, and at 16 minutes and 10 seconds, we see what looks like the intro to a raid, most likely the new raid, with our 6 Guardians, their new armor, as well as the new bow on the right Guardian. Some of you are already calling this raid Scourge 2.0. I personally think, considering how much is going to be happening in this expansion, this raid is going to have to pop. It's going to have to be something extremely special. Keep in mind, at some point, we have to start dabbling in the Vex network. Now, guys, I actually want to talk about the Lightfall early access information, essentially bits of information that we've collected from many other journalists. I will say there are some spoilers, granted. We're completely avoiding narrative spoilers. This is just some slight spoilers here and there that we've collected, starting with Neomua having 3 main locations. It's also going to have a sanctuary-esque social space. Now, strand unlocks are actually more similar to 3.0 ability unlocks rather than stasis, that being tied to campaign progression. And a big complaint that a lot of people had with stasis was it was like, yo, I played this entire campaign and I felt like I never even used stasis. Now, approaching a strand pillar will grant you strand empowerment. We believe these are called strand weaves. This actually buffs ability regeneration. It also grants access to strand subclass features before unlocking them. Also, after the empowerment subsides, players will experience exhaustion that gives slower ability regeneration. It's actually really interesting that it's a double-edged sword. Now, the new buff, Unraveling Rounds, will stun barrier champions, and Suspend will stun overload champions. Definitely tying this into the subclass, guys. And we had a video way back when going over everything that's going to be changing in regards to champions. There are going to be so many different ways to counter champions next season, and Strand is definitely a part of that. Now, loadouts cannot return items to the vault if your inventory is full. So you're still going to need to manually remove items from your inventory if you don't have enough space to equip your loadout. This is unfortunate. A big advantage of Dim is being able to just drag items and throw them out. Am I still going to use the loadout feature? 100%. But Dim may still be in my arsenal when it comes to sharing builds, and secondly, when it comes to inventory management. Now, we're going to jump into the GameSpot review, as they actually had access to this gameplay. At 10 seconds, we actually see a strand sniper in your inventory. Now, we can't confirm it, but I assume this is the neon sniper that we saw in the Game Awards trailer. At 36 seconds, we see the Under Siege public event and the strand hand cannon, as well as a Tangle cooldown, which is a 15-second cooldown as revealed by the gameplay footage later in the video. Now, this means you're only going to be able to create a Tangle every 15 seconds. At 2 minutes and 33 seconds, we actually see a new strand finisher. And at 2:43, we see a strand shielded enemy. And at 3 minutes and 16 seconds, we see a strand gameplay loop, which was essentially a shackle grenade used against these Cabal enemies. Their backpacks fall to the ground after they were killed. And later we see that once dropped, these backpacks will create fields that in previous reveals was stated to remove some of your super and abilities. It also appears that these fields reach out to nearby combatants and shield them in some way. Now, at 4:49, we actually see the buffs Thread of Mind. We can assume that Thread of Mind is a new fragment yet to be revealed. And at 5:56, we see the name of the neon shotgun, Basso Ostinato. And I hope I'm saying that right. Probably not, but it also has a new perk called Destabilizing Rounds. This is a powerful Void 3.0 perk Proctor mentioned in a previous interview. And on top of that, the new Ritual Glaive for next season, which we recently covered, that too is gonna have Destabilizing Rounds. At 6 minutes and 27 seconds, we see a lot of new and reprised mods present here. Some we already mentioned earlier. Font of Agility, giving you that bonus to mobility while you have any armor charge. Stacks on stacks, picking up an orb of power grants an additional stack of armor charge. Same as current functionality and same cost here. Charge Up, which increases the maximum number of armor charges by 1, which is the same here. And Font of Vigor, where you gain bonus to strength while you have any armor charge. Now, looking at all the mods that we can see the icons for, it's safe to assume that all the blue ones are Font and Surge mods. So with this new system, we can boost elemental damage with Surge mods or boost stat recharge with Font mods. Now, at 17 729, we actually see some of the achievements needed to rank up before, but now we see the full list for rank 7, which is just lots of triumphs that you complete by playing the game. Now, pulling from PlayStation Access, at 533, we see a new Season of Defiance Ghost Shell, Circular Logic, a seasonal heavy grenade launcher and sword, and the Neon Grenade Launcher. We also see the Basso Asesinato, a new seasonal grenade launcher and a fusion rifle, as well as the Neon Pulse Rifle and fusion rifle. We even see Quicksilver Storm, the seasonal bow, an auto rifle that was from earlier, also the Neon Hand Cannon, SMG, and Sniper. In the 536, you see the stat increases for Strand are massive. These fragments, guys, are gonna have a ton of bonuses. Now, pull from an article here from PC Gamer titled Destiny 2 Lightfall's new loadout system will let players swap gear in the middle of an activity. So we just talked about the gear not being able to be swapped out if your inventory is full. But the good thing is that you will be able to swap in-game loadouts mid-activity without having to go to orbit. Now, you can kind of do that sometimes with Destiny Item Manager, but there are times where you just can't do it. A lot of times whenever I try to equip a certain loadout, Destiny Item Manager will actually give me an error asking me to go to orbit in order to actually equip that loadout. Granted, this does not bypass locked activities, things like GM Nightfalls, etc. You will not be able to swap loadouts then. Now, in that article, Bungie did state that the time it takes to swap a loadout should be comparable to the time it takes to swap a single piece of equipment on your character screen. We'll see how that actually plays out. That would be nice though. So guys, that's pretty much everything that we saw from multiple sources today. We will be linking all of the articles down below and any video footage that we used here. Either way, fellas, I hope you're hyped. I'm very much excited. Things are looking incredibly juicy. By the way, our Lightfall prep guide will be out first thing tomorrow, so be looking out for that. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.